Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Final Stallions!
And we have a kick-ass guest today, as we always do, but this one is very special. We have the king of Cleveland music, dawned on by me, myself, and I, Mikey Silas, in the house.
Woo!
Mikey, come on, you gotta... He's being modest, ladies and gentlemen, because whenever I think of Cleveland music, or my introduction to Cleveland music, everywhere in Cleveland music is Mikey Silas. So, Mikey, how are you doing today, man? Appreciate you coming on.
Dude, I'm doing good. It's been it's like season transition time, so I'm kind of like reflective a little bit, but looking ahead while... Yeah, I'm in a good spot today.
And I love it. I mean, it's honestly going to be one of the last nice days here in Cleveland where I'm able to wear the shorts and able to go out and about.
Yeah, it's one of those days where it's like inside the house it's cold, but outside it's like 70 degrees.
No, I needed an excuse to get out today, and it was my grandma's 90th birthday. So shout out to Kay Friedman, happy 90th birthday.
Happy dog.
Yeah, shout out. But again, Mikey, Again, when I explained it there, but whenever I think of Cleveland music, I think of you because I was introduced when I really started going out in the Cleveland music scene and trying to see more local. It always flashes back to that Brothers Lounge show.
Was it May? Was it Memorial Day weekend?
I think it was. And you, me and my boys, we all lived right by there, like close to 117th. We were like, listen, I've heard of this band. Let's go out and just check them out. And you guys tore the place down. That's actually when you had a former guest that we had, Matt Moody, playing guitar with you. Yeah. And I just remember being captivated by the way you controlled the stage and the way the harmonies were going with the horns and everything. And so this is, I'm fucking excited as shit for this one because, again, I've been closely following you. So again, for the people out there, Mikey is the lead singer and piano player of the local Cleveland band, Apostle Jones. And tell us about this project a little bit, because you are the founder. You're the one who's kept this thing going. I know there's been a handful of different talent throughout the years, but take us back. Where did this idea to come up with a whole band with horns and a whole rock and gospel, rock and soul sound?
Yeah, it started off as a started off as a name first, and it was like I had just moved back to Cleveland and was spending a lot of time because I didn't really know a lot of people. So we're talking about like 2016, 2017ish. Didn't know a lot of people, so I would kind of sit at home and work in like different. Just work in different music programs, like just drafting up song ideas and then doodle logos and things of that nature. And wanted to come up with a band that I thought kind of served a function as like a blues band, but also kind of was a little bit more about, was about more than just misery or overcoming things. It was more about kind of what you get from overcoming things or going through those misery periods of your life. So the name Apostle Jones came out of that sort of like foggy brain sessions I was doing at the time. And it started off as like a duo, which we were called Mirrors at first.
Okay. And who were you with that in?
Yeah, that was with a gentle friend named Anthony Hitch.
Okay.
And we actually met because at the time I was like trying to do like the sober thing, and he was actually like my sobriety like sponsor or whatever.
Okay.
It's kind of the crutch I needed at life at the time.
Yeah.
He was a really sick guitar player. There's like some of our earliest stuff is you could hear his guitar playing. It's so beautiful. He's just really, really good. So he was in the band as we started to add new members to it. And we just kind of we just slowly added drums, then we added bass, and that's where Matt Moody came in. He was the first bass player for the band. Eventually Anthony would leave, Matt would take over for him.
Okay.
Yeah, then we just kept adding things. Yeah, I don't know. So it's just been
ever changing. I mean, I see I don't know. You've like if you look at your website, there's just a slew of just talented artists that have been a part of it, like throughout the whole thing. And like, was there at any point where you were like, we're going for this sound, we're going for this, or you're just like, maybe we should add this?
Yeah, I think I'd like to say it's very organic, the growth of the band. I to be kind of like funny about it, the idea of it being like apostles, like kind of there's always been this idea of like we should have 12 band members.
Yeah.
But that's, I can't figure out what like 10, 11, and 12 would do yet.
Yeah.
So we're at about 9 now.
And you got to look
walk
at,
us through the 9. Like, who are the 9 members? What instruments do they play?
Awesome. So I kind of moved to more of just like a singing frontman role for the band. So I brought in a keyboard player, and his name is Brett Lindman.
Okay.
And he is met Brett at a gig we were playing, or a gig I was watching at Collision Bend Brewery in the Flats.
Great
and Brett used to play for the band Welshly Arms.
Okay.
But he wasn't playing with them at the time, and literally I knew Brett for about like almost 8 months before he ever came in to sit down and play keys or whatever. So Brett has keys duties. The guitar player right now is a guy named Michael Haburay, who actually used to live like right across the street over here.
Oh, really?
In Gordon Square, like right behind Tributary over there.
Yeah.
So because I was living at 45th and Bridge in Ohio City, and dude would just walk by my house every day. So one day I said, "Hey, you, when's your birthday?" Because I like astrology and shit like that.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and then just keep walking back and forth. Turns out he was a musician. He was kind of like getting back into his routine musically and stuff like that. So he ended up coming into the band. I can't remember who he replaced. He must have replaced Matt. No, Tyler. That's who he replaced. Matt moved to LA. Tyler filled in for Matt, and then Tyler started playing with other people or something. Tyler and I, we still gig together though. But anyway, sorry. So yeah, Michael's sick. He's awesome, really cool guy, down to earth. First guy there, last one to leave, has a Tom Brady like work ethic.
Nice.
Then we have on bass, Alex Zinni, who for a period of time was playing guitar at one point, and he had a band called Bro Dylan for a while.
Okay.
And he's like, we reunited at is it okay if I do little origin stories about everybody?
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we're here for.
We'll reveal the superpowers later. But Alex and I, we knew each other, but we never really fucked with each other that much. But he and I were at a songwriting retreat together, and it was one of those just kind of serendipitous things where we were both trying to connect with like the great creative spirit.
Of course. As we all.
And then Alex, he's primarily guitar player, but he was like, so he came in to play guitar for a little bit, and then he was like, you know what, too much. I need to just focus on me or whatever. And then he ended up coming back as the bass player. And he's been like, pretty much, as far as I know, it's been more of like an experimental thing for him. But like we did a few covers this year, like Stevie Wonder covers, and like Stevie has some sick bass lines.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely nasty.
And
Songs in the Key of Life, that whole thing tears me apart.
All of it, man. So he fucking slayed on those things. So he's been just killing it. He's also like just a really like good friend. So Alex is great. All right, that's about like 3, so I gotta get this moving. We have what other instruments are there in a band? Drums. Oh yeah.
I heard that helps.
Yeah. So we have Rashawn Blake, who is he's in probably 8 or 9 bands at the moment.
What? How do you even manage that?
I honestly don't know. I really don't know how he does it. And he's in grad school for like I don't know, for like computer development or software development or database management, one of those information technology.
You have an Iron Man.
He must not sleep.
Yeah,
I don't think he does. He actually kind of has his own practice space at Rock and Roll City, where I think it's literally just like his spot where he can just crash from time to time.
Just
He has a fucking Madden set up in there.
Oh, hell yeah.
He has like flags and stuff. Like he just hangs out there all the time. Brishon's awesome though. Like same thing as Michael, just like really on top of everything. Really, really down to earth. Met Rayshawn because he was playing with one of our other members, Shardae's band. At the time they were called Mixed Feelings. And he was a drummer, and he came in to fill in on a gig or something like that one day. And then when our former drummer left the band, he filled in for him, and he's just been kind of revolutionized the sound.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, because we were kind of a little bit more on the rockier side of things.
Okay.
Less focused on dynamics or like more kind of swung rhythms and stuff like that. Everything was a little bit more, well, which was awesome for what it was, but it kind of shifted the whole foundation of the group. As you can imagine, bass and drums have the ability to do that.
Yes. That's the mean potatoes, people.
It is. It's the heart of the band. If it ain't working, nothing's working. So Rayshawn's been really great. So Shardae, I've known Shardae for probably about like 5 years or something like that. Shardae was coming around when Anthony, who I was doing the band with first, and I were just gigging out as a duo. And she's a fantastic artist, fantastic just curator. She really does a lot in the community. And frankly, I love her. Like I think she's just fantastic. And it's one of those things where we're both so passionate about what we do that that it's just I don't know, when we're together, like there's just magic that
radiating
happens.
As well.
So Shardae is really, I brought Shardae into the group initially to help bring a little bit of like refinement and growth to the harmonies and the background vocal sections,
which is so important live.
It is
so important.
It really makes a huge difference. I mean, you can only listen to like well, I'll just speak for myself. You can only listen to I can only listen to me for so long. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, what are you saying now? Whatever. Everything sounds the same.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
So just
we all have our ways of doing it. So.
Plus, I mean, it used to be one of those things where we'd be out playing and it would be, oh man, if we get those background vocals, like it's a wrap. Like, it's a done deal. Like, watch out. So Shardae's been incredibly an incredible part of like the evolution of the band. And she brought in one of her singers from her group, a singer who we call Honey. And she is a phenomenal singer. She's an amazing artist. She's one of those like savants. She can kind of do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like, and she'll do it without you even noticing. You'll look away, look back. She's like painted a masterpiece.
Yeah. Oh, Honey.
Yeah. So she has that range, that voice that can kind of like crack through that upper tier. So it kind of gives you chills and stuff like that. So she's fantastic. She's been a really great addition as well. And her and Shardae are just so in sync and harmonize with each other. And then we have the horn players, Eric Levine on trumpet and Charlie Wilson on sax. Charlie plays in the group called Wanyama.
Okay,
That's
I've
one
heard
of
of
his
them.
groups. And Eric used to tour the country with a group called Bora Bora, maybe something like that. But Eric moved here from the pandemic, back to Cleveland during the pandemic from Colorado, and we got placed with him on a show, Grog Shop, during one of their like sit down COVID shows or whatever, and kind of been kicking it with Eric ever since then. We're actually going to hit the baseball game tomorrow.
Nice.
Nice.
Regards.
Yep.
But in the current lineup of the band, Charlie, the sax player, and myself are the two oldest members.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah.
Well, so and you guys have been playing out a lot this summer, and even just yourself, man. Like even when you're not playing with Apostle Jones, like I see you gigging out like just yourself, and I mean, man, it's encouraging for me at least. Like it's inspiring to see how you can always stay at it no matter what, just foot to the gas pedal and be able to just go out there and do what you want. So that's great. And
Is it encouraging? Yeah, that guy sucks. I could totally do that.
no, it's encouraging because you just gotta fucking do it, people. And I bitch at myself in the mirror every day for not doing things I want. So just listen to Shia LaBeouf. Just do it.
Yeah, there's lots of like Instagram memes that kind of keep you going sometimes.
There are, and people, and thank you to the people who post those on their story, because I don't follow those accounts, but when you post them, I see them. So thank you. So over the years, you guys have had you've had one EP, Lilith. Is that
Lilith?
Lilith,
which is kind of there's a biblical like reference with Lilith and kind of like the mother of Eve and shit like that. But in the case of the EP, it was more about the the astrology of it all, which is kind of signifies kind of the dark side of the moon. You know, kind of like your deeper unconscious parts of you that kind of like guide your life a little bit.
Yeah.
So Lilith is kind of this divine, dark, like feminine force energy that everyone has in them a little bit.
I love it, man. No, and those songs rip as well. Like starts off with that instrumental, and then second song with you just kicking it off right away is like huge. Klepp was raving about that earlier today to me.
Yeah, those 4 tracks bump. Is Moody on that? Or had he left by then?
That Moody's not on that one. I don't know if we actually have any like Super Salad recordings with Matt. But the that one has Tyler Ray, who I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Bert Barrios on the drums, Todd Marshall on the bass.
Yeah.
And we were just a modest 5-piece at that time.
Dang, I guess I didn't know.
Okay.
Todd.
And Jessica was on the tambourine.
Yes, I remember seeing her with you guys at Grog Shop as well.
Yeah.
No, that's dude. So that was great. And then you have 2 other live ones on Spotify right now, live from Cleveland, and then the most recent one released in April, which is 4 Pins Left, live from Youngstown. Whoa, that EP blew me away, man. Use Me, Groove, and then
so that's what happens when you drop Ray Sean in the band.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that the new EP was the closest thing we have to like the full band being represented.
Okay.
The only thing we're really missing on that one is the background vocals.
Okay.
And we actually had a fill-in bass player for that one, so Alex wasn't on that one.
Okay. But man, I mean, yeah, Use Me, and better yet, the guitar tone with like your piano running in the background as well. I was
Michael's gonna love to hear that. He works so hard on his guitar tones.
Really good. Well, because it stood out unbelievably, and better yet on that EP. So keep doing whatever you're doing. Keep doing whatever you're doing, Michael. Do you have any plans for EP, LP coming up with the crew?
Right. Well, we have another live album called Live from Coda.
Yes.
That's only on Bandcamp. And that one, I really like that one because it plays like a whole concert. Like we kept all the takes in between songs and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
I sound like a really drunk drag queen the whole show. Doing like, honey, what are you talking about? Well, you said I got water. What's the next song? So it's pretty funny. My mentor told me, he was like, great album. One of those 10-9-8. He really liked that song.
Yeah.
He was like, what a great song. Like one of my favorites I've ever heard. But you gotta really fix your talking between songs.
Dude.
What do you mean? It's funny.
That's me. Every time I go back and listen to these fucking podcasts, I'm like, I'm a whiny bitch every time. I'm just
I'm gonna go back and listen to this. Like, why did they talk for like 5 hours about the band? But,
because that's what you're supposed to do on Vinyl Stallions.
But yeah, the plans to do a full length album is definitely the goal.
Hell yeah.
I think just in terms of also managing the desire to like, you were really kind to say everything you said about like gigging out in Cleveland and just like having those opportunities. I feel really grateful for those things. But I want to expand outside of that with the band. So the plan is to I try not to like talk about things too much because sometimes you start to overthink it, and that's probably what happened with the album. Talking about it for so long, it's not gonna get done because I'm like, oh, now I got to do it like this.
Believe me,
but
I'm living it.
Yeah, how about it? Yeah, it's not easy, especially when you're trying to like do something that means something. Sometimes I feel like we could trip ourselves up with that or whatever.
Yeah.
But we also kind of want to focus on also developing like really good current video content, things that will really have like a good presence on social media. And not that social media end all be all, but I mean, let's be honest, it's just part of it's part of the routine.
It's a gateway of what people can see you for X amount of seconds.
It's the most common modern marketing tool. Like that's the easiest way to say it.
Precisely. I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, oh, fuck social media, blah blah blah. I mean, at a certain point, you have to just you have to mind your.
It's a platform. It's a platform.
Platform. Sponsor me? No.
Yes.
Trying to get the lizard.
But the work that we want to do hopefully will also be more video content and focus on some singles at first, just to create a little bit of an impact, so that we can tour a little bit easier, or be better representative of ourselves as we try to branch out into more kind of like micro markets outside of the Cleveland area.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of those areas you're targeting?
What are some of those areas? So I mentioned astrology earlier. While this isn't entirely true, but I feel like it's fun to talk about it in this way. There's something called astrocartography, which is you could take like, have you ever heard someone say, I have a Cancer moon and I have a rising sign. Yeah. So those are like legit things. And when you're born, you're kind of like a fingerprint, and you get all of those specific markings of the planets and stuff like that. But you could take that map, that star map for yourself, what we call a natal chart, and you could superimpose it 3-dimensionally on a globe, and you'll find certain lines around the planet where certain parts of your astrology chart will be greater or be felt stronger. So like I lived in Chicago for a long time, and I got my ass kicked a bunch of times. So my Mars goes through Chicago, and Mars is like the god of war type of thing. So Cleveland happens to be, for me, this is just the way it works out. It's not going to be if you're from here or live there, there's something there necessarily.
No, there's something different.
But Cleveland for me is like a healing place. So, but if you look at it and you look at like where like Venus, which is kind of music, your rising sign, which is who you are, Jupiter, which is expansion. If you look where those signs all kind of line up, for me, they kind of go up and down the East Coast a little bit. So looking at markets like Baltimore, Boston, that whole area, Philly, and also kind of taking that Cleveland line for me extends down into New Orleans a little bit. So I'm not, that's the reason why I said it's not entirely true, because it's also kind of selfish for me to look at it in just that one-dimensional way. But I kind of feel like there are certain energies or polarities that would kind of like get sparked or take off in those areas too.
I've never heard that aspect of astrology, like putting it down on a map and like looking into that aspect.
Yeah, it's a lot more than horoscope stuff. And I also try to not look in the future with it, because that shit will make someone crazy. Everyone has one of those friends.
100%.
You're this sign, so you're that way.
Yeah, we will never get along.
You're gonna have to get a lot more weird to sound crazy on this show.
So can I still buy you dinner, huh?
Yeah. So that's a no.
But yes, somewhere close by initially, Detroit, those cities, and we're lucky in Cleveland to be, at least on this side of the country, where there's just so many metropolitan areas that have venues or are open to acts coming through or whatever. So yeah, long-winded answer. Anywhere pretty much close by.
You talk about wanting to be like, I don't know, like just like better represented as well. And someone who I see you working closely with is Get Slick Social.
Oh yeah, Ricky.
Yeah. Wait, was I Ricky
Bobby.
Ricky Benjamin? Ricky
Benninger.
Ricky Benninger, yes.
I learned about Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobber.
Yeah, Ricky and I met when he booked us at Music Box, when he was doing this sort of like series there where he would bring in local bands.
Okay.
His Music Box, their business model tends to favor more like twilight career artists. So like your Sean Colvins, your Joan Osborne's, Paula Coles,
Yeah.
you know, those singers that had like big radio hits in the 90s or earlier decades and are now kind of touring more mid-sized intimate venues and cover bands. So Ricky was working on a program there that fostered a local band objective, I guess. And so met him through that, and then Ricky is legit like my best friend.
Yeah.
To this day. Yeah, I fucking love music. It's fun to do, but it also meets some of the best people of your life through it.
Absolutely.
But Ricky went rogue, left Music Box and started a social media marketing company called Slick Social. And he really helped us out during the kind of second year of the pandemic or whatever, and really helped us with social media and creating images and just kind of like bringing just a general sense of fun to the social media. You could tell he's not doing it anymore because all the posts are really boring now. But Ricky's back in Music Box doing his thing, but he's still definitely doing Slick Social. He was doing a lot with the recent Cleveland Music Awards that they did.
Yeah, where was that at? Was that at the farm downtown?
It ended up being at I've gone over this name so many times, I'm still going to mess it up. I believe it's Welcome to the Farm.
Welcome to the Farm.
Or On the Farm.
No, it's Welcome to the Farm.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find it to tag it on Instagram, and I was like, it's not that place. No.
it's not the farm.
But it was supposed to be a Forward nightclub.
Okay.
But it was or day club, because it was going to be during the day. But it rained a lot, and there's no indoor there.
And disconnected.
Yeah, so they just kind of knocked it next door, and it was packed, and it was great.
I mean, they have a nice stage there. I was actually there on Saturday.
I was sick. I'd never been there before.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well set up. I mean, if you have a patio area on the flats right by the water, like, can you go wrong?
Right.
Well, I guess some places could say it, but they're doing it right.
Sometimes that Lake Erie fart smell comes up, though.
Scares away the customers.
Then it will find you, though.
It will find you.
I remember I was driving a friend home one time. He was a drag queen friend from Chicago, and they were doing a show at Grog Shop randomly, Glam Gore. It's a really fun drag show, actually. And I was driving them back to their Airbnb in Tremont, and we were driving, and they go, "Oh my God, what is that smell?" we were going over. We were on that bridge, that big bridge, the 90 that you take over towards Tremont over there. And I was like, no matter what you do not open the window. Yeah. It will make it worse, and we'll never survive. So yeah. Anyway, thanks, Cleveland.
It keeps us humble.
It sure does. Was vibing after the show. Queen had a great time. Everyone was smoking the blunt, having a good moment. And I was like, what the fuck is that smell?
And it's gone. That's hilarious.
Funny. Yeah, so Ricky's great.
Very nice. Yeah. Something that one time we're gonna really dive into this into a full episode, but we can touch on it right now because again, when I think of Cleveland music, I think of Mikey Silas. You're hosting open mic nights as well at the Crowbar, which is it's every other Tuesday, or
pretty much. It's supposed to be first and third Tuesday, but every now and then the calendar is like add a fifth week to the month.
Yeah. So it's just doing that. So what I want to touch on is just music is music. Obviously, we're hearing that you got to make it in plans, but the community aspect of it all is something that I have just been swarmed up in the past, especially starting like this podcast has been great. But again, being able to go and see you out in 2019 and see people, the community out randomly has really just, I don't know, been an uplifting experience for me. It shows that there are some great people with just great talents and great mindsets that are living here. And I don't know, can you just like touch a little bit on just like music as just like what it can do besides bring pleasantry to our ears?
Interesting. Well, I think that's kind of, there's like a few different ways I think you can answer that or appreciate that question and ultimately try to answer it. It is I mean, here's one for your Instagram memes. It's a universal language. Anyone can feel it and understand it. You don't need to even know the words. No. I think music is it's a strong community builder. You know, it's a way to, I think it just as a in general, as people living in the same place, call it what you will, community, neighbors, coexisting, whatever, you know, I think we inherently carry around a certain amount of like stress and trauma, anxiety, fear, these really unhealthy emotions that eat away at your health, that eat away at your confidence, eat away at your relationships, eat away at your just spirit sometimes. And music is a really great cure for that. It's also something where even though there's like a finite number of notes and the ability to be in awe of the way someone uses them simply or in a complicated way, and is able to like twist them around and arrange them in a certain way, to me is just always forever inspiring and fascinating. And I think a lot of times music is the answer for the questions you don't even know you have sometimes, in a weird way. So I think music really functions in a level in our lives greater than I think we give it credit for sometimes. And I'm kind of figuring this out, talking about it out loud. I've never really even thought about it this deep, I don't think. But at least sober-minded a little bit. So music, bro.
I mean, but it like trips me up though. There's like times like music is inevitable, whether you're rich, old, young, poor, no matter where you live in, you have your type of music that is carrying you throughout your day. You have your people that you enjoy, and there's something there for everyone. And I also like what you just touched on as well. Like you only got like 12 notes and then they repeat each other, but it's the way that you are able to curate them in a way to get across whatever you're trying to say. And I find that very interesting. But I mean, music is there for everyone. Like you said, whether you know it or not, it is in your life and carrying you along.
It's also like a time capsule thing. Like you'll hear it and you'll be like, bam.
Right back to that moment.
Exactly. So I think it just makes our lives a lot richer in tremendous ways. And I think like, 'cause there'll be times I'll be like, not just recently, I've recently have like gotten really back into like going out and just dancing. Like don't care, just music on, dark room, dark club or whatever. Not even dark room, sometimes just out there. I'm out there, Jerry, I'm loving every second of it.
Dancing and they'll stray.
But I was kind of wondering, I'd be like, what is the fascination with like going to just dance? I mean, you like jam music a lot.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, sometimes I'm such a lyrical driven person, or the narrative or the arc of a story in a song or of the overall performance or whatever. And just for me, like it's harder for me sometimes to catch that angle of it in jam music.
Yeah.
You know, so wow, I'm gonna sound like an asshole probably, whatever. But like but there'd be like, come on, be an asshole.
Let it rip. Anything goes here.
There's no rules.
No rules. Kind of like jam music, not playing.
And 100p though.
But I was curious, like, because jam has such a glorious community component to it.
Absolutely.
And that's the most beautiful part about it to me. And then when you add like great players and you understand a little bit more pragmatically what's happening music wise, it's super fascinating and interesting. But for the average like jam band fan, it took me a while to figure out what is that attachment, just as an observer. And I started to realize that when I started to recently come back around to, I play with a lot of jam guys too, and have a lot of jam family friends. So that's why I'm not really mincing my words, but I'm definitely like making sure I'm not stepping on anything. the act of like living free in the music in kind of like a Planet Fitness room of dancers and stuff like that, no judgment here type of a thing, is so free, and it releases so much endorphins. And I've been going through my weeks feeling just a little bit more patient. I've been a little bit more gentle with myself and others. And I'm literally, this is like within the last couple weeks.
Nice.
This is
Got you at a good time.
Man, Ingenuity was lit this year. I had a great
time. I was mad. I was out of town for that this year.
And if it didn't seem like they pick up right where they left off. But anyway, I really feel like there's such a strong component to finding that release in music, no matter what style it is. Obviously, it's there, you know.
No, oh yeah, very well spoken, my friend.
Yeah, another style of music that's just sort of like of that same ilk, I would say, is like jazz. I mean, I would say that's like to even more of an extreme, like in that regard, than jam bands, because there's almost never vocals in jazz unless it's like smooth jazz, or you know, every now and then you'll have some fusion jazz bands that throw in some vocals. But like most classic jazz, you know, is just all instrumental. So like you have to feel it from the instruments, or you're not feeling it at all.
Yeah, and I think something like, because the other band I play with called Shoreline Funk All Stars, which has a large contingency of veteran jam band players in it. Like Chris Walker played with Broccoli Samurai, and then he and Jeff both play in Vibe and Direct. And then Mike Miller's played with us. He's subbed in. Marty and Eric are they've both been in jam scenes before, and jam bands. And it's just kind of like, at a certain point, it's like, we start to look at what are the elements that categorize music for people. Like, what is the big difference between like a funk band and a jam band?
Yeah.
And
I would say large sessions of improvisation. That's what makes a jam band. Like live, long sessions of improvisation.
Yeah.
But I feel like funk bands do that too a little bit. There's
True.
probably someone way smarter than all of us sitting there going, well, actually, it's
precisely. I see it. I see it from both ways, though. I mean, you say like it takes a while. You're just like, okay, I need like this song to like go somewhere, like lyrically wise, or be taken somewhere instead of the same riff over and over again. And I was like that for a while. Like I really didn't get too much into jam bands till like end of 2019, 2020. And then when I got immersed into it, it's honestly like what Cup just said, the improvisation of the live recordings, and then going back and listening to them, and then it's being like, how did they get like this and this one and this and this one, and it's the same fucking riff going on in the background the whole time. Like that's really what draws me into it, just the ability to, I don't know, make it a whole different thing. I don't know, just go listen to Dave Matthews Band.
And well, I guess so, like going back to what you were saying earlier, you're like, okay, what makes it funk? What makes a jam band? Like it could be both. Like Pigeons playing ping pong, like if you listen to all their studio stuff where, you know, there's not improvisation, you'd be like, oh, that's a funk band. And then you see them live and like, you know, hear Scrambled Greg ripping on the guitar for 15 minutes, you're like, oh, that's a jam band. Like, so I mean, there'd totally be genre overlap too.
Yeah.
100%. And I think that's like for me, I'm not really like a specific genre focused person. Like the question, what's your favorite style of music, kind of gives me anxiety a little bit.
I say good time music.
Good times.
Good time music.
I couldn't answer that question. If somebody asked it to me, I'd be like, well, I like this, but I like this, but I also like this.
Right. Oh, what day is it? Yeah, I like that. Down that day too. Yep. I tend to like songs. Like I'm more of a song-oriented person.
Yeah.
So that's where, just kind of bring it back full circle. That's kind of where that curiousness starts, with looking at music that is a little bit more free form comes from. And I say that with like half the shit I do on stage, I'm making up lyrics on the fly anyway.
Dude,
so.
but see, I respect that. That's jam lyricing right there.
Like, we were jamming with Shoreline the other day, and because we've been doing a lot of covers because we've only formed this year, just to kind of get everyone in sync with each other and stuff like that. And we had this jam thing. I'm sitting there, like, I'm trying to figure out, okay, when can I add vocals to this a little bit, like an actual jam session. And it's a fun thing to try to like figure out how to lace vocals into those things. But
100%.
I try to write lyrics while they're all playing. So it works a little bit.
No, that's fun. So you say you're more of a song guy. Who you listen to? Who do you listen to? Who does Mikey Silas enjoy listening to? I guess over the years, and then maybe who you're listening to right now. You catch yourself throwing.
Nice question. So typically right now, what I'm really liking is a guy named Benjamin Clementine, who is a British singer. But he's a piano player. He's a really fascinating. He works with just like really beautiful theatrical vocal tones, and the music is a very haunting appeal to it.
Okay.
So I really like it. I think he's fantastic.
I'll have to check him out.
I highly recommend it. I also am like a chronic, like, go back and listen to old playlists. And I've been like making playlists since about like 2012 pretty regularly.
Okay.
Right.
Like,
Nice.
whether it's like spurts of like a few months or a whole year worth of playlist or whatever.
You're gonna have to share those with ours.
They're all on my Spotify.
All right. Well, we've been posting people who will make playlists. We will.
So I've been
throw it up
listening
on
to
the link tree.
2014 a lot. That's been my go-to.
Nice.
Lately, which has a lot of like Odessa on it. I like trancey house music type of stuff with like a really cool like riffy vocal on top of it.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I was just listening to one the other day. What's that Selena Gomez song? It's like,
Oh man, see, I'm not like, I teach a school of rock a
Yeah.
couple days a week, so that helps me learn a little bit more of like some of the artists like the Selena Gomez's and stuff like that, because I don't really run into them that often. I listen to sports radio. That's kind of what I listen to the most. Sports radio and curated playlists pretty much. So
Nice.
it's hard sometimes to run into just random artists that don't normally filter into those algorithms or whatever.
I'm sure you were a big CD guy.
Oh yeah, the books, the 500 CD books,
And you did it all legally, right? No LimeWire, no FrostWire.
Dude, LimeWire. When I was little, wait, I can't say this. Yes, I can. It doesn't matter.
You absolutely can.
When I was little, I used to like take CDs from the library so bad. So yeah, I've always loved CDs. Actually, when I was in high school, I was obsessed with Billboard charts. Like, obsessed with music charts. I would make my own charts and make my sister on New Year's Eve sit there and I'd read off all 100 songs. This is my top 100 of the year, Katie.
Yeah, and you're not going anywhere.
Right.
The turkey can wait.
And at midnight, we're going to listen to number one, and you won't know what it is until then.
Yeah,
like, I was a terror with the music charts, but I loved them. So I've always loved like British music imports and stuff like that, because I would kind of look at world charts and everything. But yeah, Benjamin Clementine. If I go back like super influential like music, 90s R&B is really huge. Like the way a lot of people know like Nirvana lyrics or Foo Fighters or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I know Keith Sweat, SWV, and Vogue. I mean, so like that's kind of like, that's just the way I came up.
Yeah.
Music wise for the most part. So I love that. But then go back to like the more classical influences like David Bowie, Aretha Franklin, a lot of Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, just people who I think really exemplified great songwriting, great vocals, great stage presence, and great showmanship too. Mm-hmm. So those are my three, and Elton John you could throw on there too. Those are kind of like my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, I see it in the way you structure lyrics in your songs is very well done. It's not like the traditional, like this one's got to be sung exactly like this, or the one and the three have to be the same. You're very much just I don't know. I see that. I see the Bowie. I see the Aretha Franklins in your music. So very well
One
done, my
singer who I actually see a lot, not necessarily by the sound of your voice, but by the way that you sing, is Van Morrison.
Interesting. I could kind of see that for sure. I mean, I probably know more than Brown Eyed Girl, but I definitely can.
Oh yeah,
feel that for sure.
He's got an enormous, like 40+ album discography, and that's actually off his very first album.
Well, I got a lot to listen to then, I guess.
You and your white vans, Daniel.
Yeah.
Do you remember that shit? Yeah.
Wait, what was that one?
It was a Vine, and it was the kid going by. He's like, "Damn, Daniel, you and your white vans."
Oh.
It was the kid walking.
All I remember from Vines is the one that my friend Jake from The Room.
Yeah.
That's another podcast he did, the room recording.
Yeah.
Jake and I had this
Those
thing
boys
where
are awesome.
we had this Vine we would send back and forth to each other, which is like the girl who's getting woken up by someone pouring water on her face. She goes, "Oh." I'm about to call him right now and be like, "Jake." Oh.
I know exactly which one you're fucking talking about.
She's funny, man.
It is.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so all right, we talked about inspirations there. What are some local Cleveland music or just local music people may not know of that you are very fond of, and I don't know, would want to give a shout out to?
Bro, I honestly, the real answer to your first question, what do I listen to the most, is live music.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, you're out everywhere, man. I'm telling you, if he's not performing, he's coming out to the Winchester on Tuesday nights to come see an open mic night.
Open mic shows. I mean, I was doing this thing all summer where I would just go to the Beachland every Sunday. I didn't even look to see who was playing. I just show up.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah,
some
that's
great
sick.
bands. I saw the Marias, who I'd never heard of before. They're fantastic. I really do like kind of like that dreamy indie pop stuff too. I also have friends that will introduce me to music. Like I like being a sponge about those things. But the Marias are great. A band a lot of my friends like called Moonchild was really awesome. I saw this like weird like Bulgarian metal group. It's really fun. I see a lot of those types of bands. Local bands, and this is by no means like an exclusive list, just kind of who comes to my mind first. I think so the girls in my band, they have a band called A New Vibe, ANUVYBE, and I'm a big fan of their voices. I'm a big fan of their process, how they work with each other, write songs, and I think that they're really intentional about what they do, and they add in the elements like choreography and shit like that, and it's nice. So I really like their music, so they're really cool. Let's see, I really like Morning of Black Star, and I've seen them quite a bit this year, and a lot of it is because kind of like what you were saying, they take an unconventional approach to soundscaping and song form. So it's very ethereal, and the narrative is very rich in their music. Obviously, the content and what they represent is very is just very important. I can't think of a better word right now. And it's like it's curated in such like a way that is very like I want to say avant-garde, but I don't want to make it sound like it's out of touch or something like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like what their music kind of does to me is it embraces the heart and soul of music. Kind of, if you think about like the universe is a bunch of rotating planets, but what's that energy in the universe that holds it all up? And I feel like that's where they come from in their music. So I really am a big fan of that. Ray Flanagan is just someone who I just like. When I just see him play and write, or when I see him play what he writes, and he just seems to just like literally have song babies just by
it's flawless.
It's really good. I happened to just see him last night play at the Brent Kirby's 10x3, and just his songs are so good, and I've been seeing Ray play for about since about 2017, which is about the year after, like within the year I moved back to Cleveland from Chicago. And his music is just, it's really good. You know, I think a lot of people can watch and be like, man, that boy, he's good. But his lyrics are really good. And he's someone who really does stick to that idea of song form and intentional like cadences and harmonic rhythms in terms of his rhyming patterns and his vocal inflections, you know, and I really love that about his songwriting. Who else? Oh, I really like, so there's this new group called the Stereotypes. They're like 3 young guys. They're just starting to really get started.
Yeah.
And they do this thing where they just they kind of have, they pull from, I could sit here and talk about local music for all day.
Yeah.
They just pull, each song kind of takes you on a new journey, which is something I really like, because it's something I really like with Apostle Jones is I like each show to feel different. I like each song to feel like, hey, the temperature just changed in here.
Yeah.
It feels different now. So it's like I really like their approach to this sort of like there's just a palpable joy and authenticity to how they express themselves in their music, and I thought that was pretty sick.
I've actually seen them live. They were on a bill with my old band Tomo Malone back. It was like a Christmas show at the Grog Shop.
How many years ago?
It must have been like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, bro, you probably got to see them now.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing back then, but
yeah, it was a while ago. So
they're really good. I remember your band, Tomo Alone.
Yeah.
I might have even seen that show you're talking about.
Yeah. No,
Is that the one where you wore the black lycra suit?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
That was because we played at the Grog Shop twice, but that was like literally our second show, first time ever with a bassist. And on like a Tuesday night with like Hannah Stack.
Talk about someone who understands stage presence.
I can shake it up there.
This motherfucker came out in an all black suit. Like, who the hell is that?
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday,
Hell
the
yeah.
rock shop. Shout outs to Wallace, Mellow Man. Speaking of Wallace, Mellow Man Funk and Sadu. Oh my god. So Sadu is just an amazing. Like, she just comes from such a. The music has such a flawless feel to it. Because everything she does is so clearly what she meant to say, and it just her music is just, it's one anyone can listen to or watch her live and be like, this girl absolutely like slaps.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna say fucks.
Yeah.
But then I was gonna say slaps. I almost said sucks, which is exactly what I did not want to say. Sadu's amazing though. And I've had the pleasure of working with her as well too. So she's amazing. And Mellow Man Funk is someone who just, there's something special about an artist when you can see them when they have the full track or the full band or the full lights or whatever. Yeah. And then when you can take all that away and the music gets even richer, or it gets even more impactful, or something about the lyrics picks you up or sits you down for a moment, you know. He's one of those performers that's been able to do that. When I saw him in a room with just cell phone lights basically lighting up the space. Yeah, Land of Panda, speaking of jam bands, I really like what they're doing. I think they add a lot of fun of like sort of Jimi Hendrix type of style playing, and there's influences of reggae. I think they really do a nice job of being a jam band that mixes a lot of influences together. And played with them earlier this year. And yeah, I'd known them for a while because they actually played at a house show I did in 2017 when they were just starting out, I believe. And I didn't see or hear from them for a while. And then obviously it's just kind of like I started just playing with more people, and like our bands kind of came back together at a certain point. But anyway.
No, yeah, we've had I think Jason Augustine talked about Land of Panda as well. And
I mean, they're a gig machine also. I mean, they're festival circuit all summer.
Yeah.
They've done a nice job.
Hell yeah. Well, shout out. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I say it every time. That's my favorite part of this episode, or like episodes, because it gives me something to go back and be like, all right, boom, this person. And
yeah.
I'm a sponge, as you just said.
Dang, I'm gonna have a regret of not mentioning a bunch of people. So
it's all right.
I really like, if I'm out, I'm also one of those people, I usually assume everything's great.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot for something to be like proven like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I'm the
But-
same way.
I think it's so important, man. Don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's already so many strikes against us as people, as artists, as
why you going out
humans,
to see
that like, why are we as artists going to make it more difficult than other people? You know, if we like going to the beach and not knowing who the fuck it is, that's like the most open-minded way you can approach a show ever. So I try to take that into any show that I go see, even if I do know them locally or whatever. Be like, ooh, this is about to be, I would say, find your song. I'm about to find my song tonight. Yeah.
No, that's very well said.
It's interesting you say that. So something that we do, which, hey, maybe the future, like we're all free on the same weekend or something, you could hop in this too, but we call it vinyl roulette. And so like Spruce and I, like we both collect vinyls. We'll just throw all of them into like this pool. We find a way to randomly select them. And it's like whatever is selected, we're listening to it. Like no questions asked. And it's like you might like some of them, like neither of us know a single song on the album. And it's like we're just gonna dive in and just see what we get.
It's opened my mind to a lot of different music. Like I don't like we got Jamiroquai last time, their first album. And
I love that album.
I would have never dove into their whole discography if it wasn't for Emergency on Planet Earth just like being drawn right there.
I used to draw the outline of JK all the time. I was like obsessed with that silhouette.
Dude, it's that they're
the Buffalo.
Yeah, JK, they're a top 10 band for me now, easily. Like,
100%.
Just absolutely captivated by them.
They're one of those bands. It's like jam, funk, all that stuff.
Yeah,
dance,
all go on.
They're
jazz too.
Everything. I mean, we were gonna cover Virtual Insanity this year, and we were trying to like move through these covers quickly. And that one just kind of that one kind of like fucked us up for a minute. So we put it on the side because it literally like
it's so hard.
Like, well, yeah, it's just more of a complicated like cluster chords and a different sort of like progression pattern and stuff like that. And then the rhythm is a little bit specific. So typically I like to kind of go in and like shift things around so they don't feel as much like the original.
Yeah.
Or because I feel like why when I see someone do a cover, I want to understand what that cover means to them. I want to feel how those words, how that perspective is coming from someone else. 100%. I feel like it's important for covers to have that second life in them.
100%. That's so awesome. So I don't know.
So vinyl roulette, I'm down for vinyl
roulette. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, I think the underlining thing here is get out, go see local music. It is right at your back door. You don't have to wait for the Billboard top 10s to release. You can be able to go and see some amazing music anywhere. And another thing I would say is listen to your friends if they give recommendations. Just give them a try.
And also give recommendations.
Yes.
So like word of mouth obviously is going to be one of those things that helps everybody else out.
Absolutely. Well, we can't let you go without an encore, Mikey. We always have an encore here on Vinyl Stallions. It's the same question that we ask every guest.
Okay.
And I'll phrase it one way and I'll go dive it deeper. But
do I have to leave the room and then come back?
Hell no. You have to stare me in the eyes and answer this.
No.
What is your most memorable concert experience? And now this can be one that you have attended, have performed at, and it can be something that happened to you or that you've seen, like most like what the fuck moment or like what the fuck moment, this is amazing, or what the fuck moment, like what the fuck is what the fuck.
Can I get I feel like the levity and like the humor and the joy.
Well, no, I mean,
but what I'm gonna say is actually kind of really fucked up.
Dude, let it rip.
And what we're here for.
As well, if you have a couple
so it comes back to Brothers Lounge. I don't think you were at this show. I think this was at that year we played at Brothers 3 times, May, October, and then New Year's Eve. That October, I was severely like in a mental place after doing like kind of like a bingey thing for a few days. And my parents were there at the show.
Okay.
And there's a lyric in one of the songs called Make It Rain, which is just the lyrics are about kind of going through those types of struggles and those types of things. And I'll never forget looking at my mom and dad during one of the lines and just really telling them without telling them, I'm sorry, you know, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
And in that case, music was the ability for me to say something I didn't know how to say.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, man, that kind of got me a little bit, not gonna lie.
No, that was probably a big moment, and especially.
I'm trying to think, is there a time I like farted on stage or something?
No, man. I mean, it's memorable. It's
Yeah,
something
memorable doesn't always have to be funny. Like,
Right.
like a powerful moment like that is super cool.
No, that is awesome, and like I'm sure, that you were just, that's probably an out of body experience that you'll never forget.
I vividly can see it still. You know,
Nice.
It's very visceral. You know, everything else is kind of like that Instagram fade on
Yeah,
the side, but it's all focused right in the center.
yeah. No, awesome, man. No, that is a fantastic one, and I'm glad you had that moment. You know, sometimes you need those, like, I don't know. We don't tell each other things enough, people. We all like whether it be I love you, I'm sorry, it's all of the above. So
Yeah.
man, that was a good one. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you, man.
And I appreciate you coming on in general. You know, I talked about this at the beginning. I was ecstatic to have you on. This was one of the best conversations we've had, and I very much appreciate you, and I'm excited to see just where you go from here, Mikey.
Thanks, man.
Of
Excited
course.
to be alive.
I love it. Oh, again, yeah, go ahead, Club.
I was just gonna say, if you guys, I know you mentioned Detroit earlier. If you guys do end up booking a show out this way, let me know, because I'm like hour from Detroit. That's like those are like my home venues, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll hit you up for sure.
Yeah, you know some good bands in Toledo too that you guys could mesh well.
That'd be awesome. I mean, that would be super helpful. Yeah, I'll hit you up in your DMs.
Clip.
All right.
and that's Glassroots Coffee. Check out Glassroots Coffee in Toledo, Ohio. But besides that, again, Mikey, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. We'll see you out and about. But besides that, my name is Spruce.
I'm Clip.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallions. You always got to throw a nay in at the end if you're good. Vinyl Valley.